Welcome to That's Good Sports, the sickest podcast on earth. And I mean that in the most literal sense. I am sick. Brandon Perna is my name, and my co-host is very healthy, Will Keys. Will, how do you feel?
I may be the healthiest man on earth today. Not to rub it in your face, but I'm feeling like $1,000,000.
It's just like a very stark contrast of hosting today. So,
I couldn't be healthier, like I said.
Yeah.
If I could take some of my health and give it to you, I wouldn't, because I just feel too good to give it up.
Yeah, that's very, very kind of you, Will.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm drinking some, I got some emergency here, which it smells like orange juice, and then
it doesn't taste like it.
It tastes like a shittier version of Sunny D, and Sunny D sucks.
Yeah, not good to begin with.
Did you ever like Sunny D growing up?
No, never. I think the last time I had Sunny D willfully was they're handing it out in college, like the day of finals, one of the finals. And so I was just kind of thrust into my hand, and so I guess I drank it. But I don't remember it being very good.
Yeah, I also don't think it helps with finals.
No, I think it made me stupider that day.
To me, so yeah,
great commercials though. Great commercials.
Yeah, Sunny D always tasted like orange juice with medicine in it.
Yeah, it's like if I want to drink orange juice, I drink orange juice. You know, yeah. I was always more of a Capri Sun guy growing up too. It was just too much fun to stab the pouch with the straw without bending the straw. Kind of a challenge.
That is a challenge. I was a big orange juice guy. And then like one day I realized that orange juice just has a ton of sugar in it, and it's not good for you.
No, it's really not.
And I was wondering why I was having like heartburn every morning as like a high school kid. And it was because
maybe I should stop drinking 3 gallons worth of orange juice every morning when I wake up. I don't know. Yeah, it's like it's like waking up and just like drinking a 2-liter bottle of soda.
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing. A lot of people think juice is good for you. It's not true.
No. I was gonna try to like tie that in with an OJ joke and then relate it to football, but I don't think that would have worked.
No, you remember what were the high C, the Slimer, the Gator, the cooler. Oh my God, I'm gonna look it up. High C Slimer. What the fuck were those called?
We're not talking about Kool-Aid, are we?
No,
because if we wanted to talk about Kool-Aid, then I could tie it into the Chiefs because Andy Reid looks like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah. No. We're talking about the High C Ecto Coolers. It was the Ghostbusters Slimer edition of the High C Punches. It was probably before your time, but the Ecto
possibly.
That was the shit, man. Ecto Coolers.
No, it doesn't sound terribly appealing. Just it's like slime.
No, it was orange for some reason.
When I hear Ecto, I just think of that South Park episode where Randy finally gets porn for the first time in like weeks, and then he like blames everything on like ghosts and ectoplasm.
It's like that, but it was actually just orange flavored for some reason. They just used Slimer to like market it. And I'm looking at a picture right now, and it says High C Ecto Cooler citrus drink contains 10% fruit juice.
That's not bad.
So, what the fuck's the other 90% of what you're drinking?
Slime and ectoplasm and
ectoplasm. That'll get you going. Well, anyway, we have a lot of football stuff to catch up on. Well, just to talk about. We did skip last week.
Yeah.
I wasn't sick yet, but I think Will and I had a busy week, Christmas. We needed a break, so we just took a fucking break. But we're back. Today, we'll talk about all the coaches that kind of got fired. Well, they definitely got fired. The Broncos
might bring him back.
The Broncos head coaching search, the playoff games, trading Von Miller, because I'm going to title this podcast.
Such a good idea.
trading Von Miller, Antonio Brown, and the Steelers, who are just turning into they're more entertaining now that they've missed the playoffs, Will.
Yeah.
Like that team, and there's not one person you can blame. You can look at all of the guys and be like, nah, it's probably his fucking fault. So
can we get them on Hard Knocks? Can we just make that executive decision right now?
And it should just be a season-long thing. But if they go to Hard Knocks, Le'Veon Bell has to play for the Steelers. Then you get the real goods.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I wanted to tell you a crazy story that happened last night, Will.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear this.
So, I'm really into true crime podcasts. That's what I listen to detach from football. But so I've listened to a ton of them, right? I always have murder on my brain. Not like I want to murder, but I'm just thinking about all these people who have murdered stuff, and it starts to scare me. And I think I'm living in a world where there's a good chance I will get murdered. Even though the victims are usually never 34-year-old men who do videos about football out of their homes. But anyway.
Well, not yet, at least.
Yeah. So last night, my wife and I watched the Elizabeth Smart documentary about Elizabeth Smart in the early 2000s was abducted from her home in the middle of the night and held captive for like 8 months. It's just like an insanely scary story. So we watched that before we go to bed last night. And, that's on the forefront of your mind when you go to sleep. At 3 a.m., all of a sudden, a loud noise comes out of our living room. Our TV just turned on for no reason. And I sleep with earplugs in, so my reaction was delayed. I thought something happened because my wife jumped up in bed. And then as a man, I realized oh fuck, I'm the guy that's go out there and I got to go check this out. And I have a baseball.
Do you keep anything under your bed? I was just going to ask. Okay.
I got the baseball bat. I also have a sword cane. I have a cane that but I would never use that. I just don't have a place to put it. But I leave the baseball bat because I'm groggy. I'm sick. I got to go see what the hell happened.
You could just cough on them,
Yeah. Get out of here with the cold, idiot. Nobody was out there. No explanation for how the TV turned on other than ghosts, which, by the way, we had blinds. We have those blinds that cover sliding glass doors in the kitchen. Those are usually open, but they're closed. And for some reason, 3 of them are just moving for no reason. And I went over there to see if the heater was on that was moving them. Heater's not on. And then there's also car lights on outside of our house down the street. Now, ooh. I didn't say anything to my wife about the car lights because I didn't want to freak her out. I think it was just somebody who goes to work early in the morning that I've never noticed because I'm never looking out the front window at 3 a.m. Needless to say, it took me and my wife a while to get back to sleep last night. And I think I'm going to go back to watching The Office and Friends before we go to bed.
Okay, I'm a little disappointed only because I thought this was just going to be a very elaborate advertisement for a home security system.
Simply Safe?
Simply Safe or one of those doorbell cams.
Yeah. Well, we already have the Ring doorbell. I can already look out there.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, okay. There's no punchline or crazy thing to end that story with.
Damn.
But it really fucked up my day because it took me an hour to go to sleep. I had to be the man trying to listen to defend my wife and cats and
Look, I gotta admit something. I really wanted some Beating Goff t-shirts, so I stopped by. I didn't want to wake you up because I knew you're sick, so I didn't want to bother you. Look, I got what I came for, so just sorry about that whole situation.
Yeah, well, next time just text me and let me know you're coming over.
Look, I didn't want to be a burden.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
So I figured I'd make it easier by breaking into your house.
Yeah, that was very convenient for you. We do need to bring back Beating Goff. So they've got a bye, right? Rams have a bye.
Yeah, they're on the bye, so he's taking everybody's going to take a much needed week-long break from Beating Goff. But that just means that when they finally do beat Goff, it's it's going to be bigger than usual.
Yeah. Saving up, really make that playoff scenario messy. So, okay. Well, the Broncos lost to the Chargers. We know that.
Yes.
Didn't really put up much of a fight.
No.
Broncos fire Vance Joseph. They fired him Monday after what everybody thought would happen. They did it. And now they got to find a new head coach. And that is the process they're starting. So fill us in on who they're looking at, and we'll talk about those candidates, I guess.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go through all these guys, and I've got some thoughts just on everyone.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're just not listing names today.
That was my original plan, but I actually want people to listen to this show. So we've got Zac Taylor, and these are all negative thoughts, by the way, because I'm feeling very cynical to start 2019. Zac Taylor, classic millennial name, don't like it. Chuck Pagano had cancer, no longer has cancer, but just wasn't very good in Indianapolis. Could be because of Ryan Grigson, that's what people are saying, but what the fuck do we know? Mike Munchak pulled some guy's dreadlocks on the sideline, I think, when he was with the Steelers in that Bengals playoff game. Might have been Joey Porter. The fact that I can't confirm either way is troublesome. Also, I always confuse him with Greg Schiano, and that's not a good sign at all. Brian Flores. Can't trust anyone from the Patriots.
No, that's true.
Vic Fangio. Sure, he's coordinated the best defense in the NFL, arguably, this year. But he sounds like a shock jock on a morning radio show. Vic Fangio in the morning, 9:50 a.m. Traffic, weather. We've got weather and traffic with Vic Fangio.
Yeah, he also sounds like he could be a Sopranos character.
Yep. And so these are all the guys that they're interviewing within the next week or so.
Right.
I think they're interviewing Chuck Pagano today, which we're recording it on Wednesday. Zac Taylor will be when this podcast comes out, and then
I might post
Munchak's
tonight.
Friday.
Who knows? I'll fuck up your whole game right there. We'll see.
Might fuck around. Really wouldn't change that much. Brian Flores is Monday, and then Vic Fangio also Monday.
So,
but I'm wondering where's Dave Taub and Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah, I think the two names that should be on that list that aren't are, well, three. Okay, you said the two. Eric Bieniemy, Dave. Is it Dave Taub or Dave Tobe? What is it?
I'm not sure. That's a strike against them to begin with.
It's also a strike against us for wanting the guy we don't even know his fucking name.
Well, does anybody know if it's Matt Nagy or Matt Nagy still?
No, that's true. And that's probably a good reason why, get the guy that you don't know how to say his name correctly, because it's obviously working for the Bears.
Extremely versatile.
Another guy who could fall in that category is the Colts' Matt Eberflus.
Okay, yeah.
What's his last name?
I think it's Eberflus.
Matt Eberflus, see?
Yeah. I guess. I have no idea. That it sounds like vaguely Scandinavian.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus.
Everclear.
Either way, he's doing a good job with the Colts defense. And what I think is impressive there is, like, outside of Darius Leonard, who's on the Colts defense that you know? Malik Hooker?
No, it's really just like
remembers
Leonard and Hooker are the big names, and they're just doing it with kind of a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah. So I think, like, those are, I don't know. I've heard a lot of good things about Eric Bieniemy. The other thing that's funny is, Adam Gase got fired in Miami.
Yeah. And
the first thing, like, people started reporting is that, like, tons of teams contacted him immediately after being fired to be their head coach, except, of course, for the Broncos, because that relationship is ruined. So maybe one of the guys everybody else wants the most, the Broncos can't get. Another guy that I think I've heard, not just from Denver media members, but like just throughout this season of listening to different people talk about coaches, Eric Bieniemy's name is one that gets brought up, in that a lot of people think he will have a lot of success as a head coach. Broncos aren't talking to him. And I think people have mostly forgot about Dave Tobe as an option anyway.
Yeah, which I don't understand, because he's constantly got the best special teams in the NFL just every year. I mean, maybe that has to do a lot with Tyreek Hill, but I don't know.
Yeah. So
seems
on
like
this,
a good thing to have.
I think on this list of people the Broncos are actually talking to, the guy I get excited about the most is probably Vic Fangio.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think too, because it looks like the Broncos are going to force whoever comes in to have Gary Kubiak as their offensive coordinator is kind of the way it's looking. Which again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, I love Kubiak. I love what he did 2015 to manage like the crazy situation that was. And obviously, you win a Super Bowl. You're never going to criticize somebody for doing that. But in terms of like him leading the offense of where do you see everybody else going, I don't know if he's the right guy to do that. But assuming Kubiak's going to do a good job with the offense, a guy like Vic Fangio, who's had great success with the Bears defense, you're going to assume he's going to bring that to the Broncos defense. And I think there's still talent there for a good defensive coordinator to get the most out of the Broncos defense. And I think that was, next to like injuries that happened late, I think the thing that didn't make sense to me about the Broncos defense was the severe drop-off we witnessed, like in the secondary specifically, about how those guys were put in positions. And I just don't think players were necessarily utilized to their strength. So that's why I'd like a guy like Fangio, because the Bears defense is
right,
like doing all the right things.
So it's feeling to me like people are trying really, really hard to get either the next Sean McVay or the next Matt Nagy, whoever that is. And that's what the Zac Taylor interview feels like, because he hasn't even been an offensive coordinator at this point. He's still the quarterback's coach for the Rams.
Yeah.
And it also kind of makes it surprising that they're not talking again to Bieniemy, who has coached Pat Mahomes to a 50-touchdown, 5,000-yard season. And then Matt LaFleur as well, who was kind of a hot candidate to begin the year back when we first thought that we might be in the head coach market in the offseason, which turned out to be true. But I kind of like the idea of kind of subverting all that and going the other way. And you've got all these, strong quarterbacks in the division right now and in the AFC, and saying, well, we're probably not going – if we're going to, like, try this nuclear arms race, like, we're probably not going to beat out the Chiefs for the best offense in the division.
Yeah.
Or Rivers and the Chargers for that matter. So might as well play to our strengths and get a defensive guy in and just load up on defense and try to win like the Bears, where we have, an acceptable offense, really, really strong defense.
The Bears, or even like what the Ravens are doing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Right
now, the dirty teams sneaking into the playoffs are the teams that have great defense and can run the football. So That's the Bears, that's the Ravens, and the Broncos. You might be right. Like their best chance to compete within the AFC West might be to go like just continue to stack the defense, knowing like finding a quarterback's fucking hard. It's not you don't just like I don't know. Elway's gotten a lot of criticism, and some of it rightfully so. Vance Joseph also some of it rightfully so. But like if Case Keenum's not out there performing, lifting up the offense when they get down, like there's only so much you can do, and you kind of have to start to think about, well, like we may be piecemealing guys like Keenum for a while until we find that next guy. So what can we control? Maybe the defense, maybe a guy like Gary Kubiak, who maybe you're not going to have that crazy innovative offense, but he knows how to coach an offense intelligently, where you're not going to lose games because of his play calling. And I'm not saying like Musgrave lost all the games for the Broncos this season as offensive coordinator, but I saw a stat today about Case Keenum. Like, I think he was 5th or 6th. Case Keenum had more passing attempts this season than Patrick Mahomes. So like there's some
not a good sign.
No, especially when the strength of your team was clearly running the ball for quite a while. So maybe, like, trying to think about it really optimistically, maybe some small adjustments like the ones we're kind of talking about here yield the Broncos bigger results in 2019. Because as bad as like we want to talk about a lot of things that happened for the Broncos were, they were close in a lot of games. It's not like they were a Arizona Cardinals team who was losing like 45-10 every week. But I mean,
you're absolutely right.
But you know, people are also talking like they are in a rebuild mode, but they're in maybe
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much I
mode?
believe in like rebuild. Like everybody's like, well, you got to blow it up, and then you got to do this like 3-year rebuild. It's like I don't know if that's how it works in the NFL. Like maybe in the NBA, where it just takes longer to get together and to get better, and it takes longer for players to develop into what they're going to become because they're drafted so young. But the NFL, like it feels like you can flip the switch, you know, in a year. Like think about the Colts and Andrew Luck's first year. They get the quarterback in place. They go from 2-14 to an 11-5 playoff team. Like you can
even the Colts this year
really quickly. You can look at the Colts last year. Yeah, last year and this year. Look at the Chicago Bears this year.
Yeah.
There's like a couple teams like that every single year, and the Broncos aren't talent poor. They have a lot of talent. They have a really good draft class. It's only going to get better. They have Von Miller, provided that you don't trade him. Bradley Chubb, I would imagine, is only going to get better after what was an incredible rookie year. I mean, you've got pieces. Like obviously, the quarterback situation needs to be figured out one way or another. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that, but you know, it's not something where you say like, "Well, we're bad this year." You blow it up, and maybe in 5 years we'll be really, really good again. It's like no, it's the NFL. Like it's a 16-game schedule. Things can happen from one year to another that you're not going to expect.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It is. It's like I think as an NFL GM, you're trying to put together a puzzle, but you don't have the fucking picture of the puzzle to like show you the way. You've got like little tidbits that you get to look at, for 10 seconds, and you try to remember the shit that worked. I don't know if that's a good analogy or
not. No, and the quarterback is like the last piece, and it's like stuck between the couch cushions, and you like have to flip over every piece of furniture looking for it.
Yeah. Or like your dog ate it and you're never going to fucking find it.
Or you just trade for that piece from the Eagles.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
I can't finish a puzzle.
So 104.3 The Fan this week. I mean, I think D-Mac started talking about trading Von Miller quite a while ago, but they've been doing this like 36 hours nonstop Broncos coach talk thing.
Aren't the Nuggets like the first best team in the West? Don't they have anything like to talk about there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even like I can't keep talking about the Broncos. Like I'm into the NFL and the playoffs. Like there's so many other interesting things to talk about. But like I put out a tweet today as a joke about like how ridiculous I think it is to trade Von Miller. And I said, trading Von Miller, ? Totally makes sense if you trade him for one of the following players: Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz, maybe, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan. Basically any QB who threw more than 25 touchdowns this season.
Would you even trade him for Aaron Rodgers based on what he costs and like how he played this year and possibly how injured he is too?
I would trade him for Aaron Rodgers.
You'd probably need like a first-round pick from the Packers too.
So, like, I tweet something out like that, and I assume everybody understands what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong. Okay. I mean, the joke's there that nobody's going to trade an edge rusher for a franchise quarterback straight up. Like, there's not a GM out there going, you know how I think we get better? We get rid of Andrew Luck. We bring in top 5 best edge rusher in the league, because Von Miller wasn't even the best edge rusher this year or pass rusher. Okay, bring him in, fixes our like right. Nobody's
Bradley Chubb.
So like the point is like the only way you trade Von Miller is if you're going to get a quarterback because that's your biggest need. Other than that, like John Gruden traded away Khalil Mack, and he was the biggest joke of the NFL.
I was going to say, didn't we just see what happens when you do this?
Yeah, like everybody like
granted they haven't taken those picks yet. And
right. Who's he going to get for those picks, bruh?
Another edge rusher.
Yeah, exactly. Another position not easy to find. Yeah. But just some of the responses I got on Twitter I thought were entertaining. somebody was like, not trading Vaughn for anything, just trade up for Haskins. Mahomes, Mayfield, maybe, and Wilson, maybe, depending on the OC. Those other ones are damaged goods. Andrew Luck, damaged goods. And then I don't know if I'd trade Vaughn for any of these QBs. Then we'd lack at his position on defense. I would take 70 Von Millers over any of these other guys. That doesn't even make sense. You can only have 53 guys on a team, so it seems exactly
redundant.
And it's like, is Von Miller going to play cornerback?
Yeah, it's not a very well thought out tweet.
So it's just one of those things. I just felt like it was going over some. Like most people got it. Don't get me wrong, but like, that is why the fan is talking about this shit, because it gets people riled up. And it sparks conversations I didn't even think it. Stuff enters people's minds that I didn't know was possible. You know what I mean? Like people thinking like having Andrew Luck would be not as good, or having Andrew Luck would be worse than having Von Miller on your team. You know what I mean? Like I just the idea that the quarterback can't solve a lot of problems is kind of the point I was making.
Look, man, like I love Von Miller as much as anybody. I've also wanted Andrew Luck since the 2010 season when he was at Stanford. And I'll just say, like, I like Von Miller is a top 5 impactful defensive player in the league, but if you have Andrew Luck, you're never going to go 5-11 or 6-10. Yeah,
exactly. That's what it comes down to. That's why quarterbacks obviously so important. And even I put Matt Ryan on that list, who the Falcons lost a shit ton of games this season, but it wasn't because of him. Like he threw 35 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. Like their defense was decimated by injuries. Like just because you have a good quarterback doesn't mean your team's going to.
He didn't even like sniff the Pro Bowl either, did he?
I don't think so.
Imagine like 10 years ago, like a quarterback had a 35-7 touchdown interception ratio, and they're just like not in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it would be insane.
Yeah,
like Matt Ryan and the Falcons' win-loss record this season is a huge outlier.
Like everybody got hurt in that first game, basically. Deion Jones and Trufant, I think, Keanu Neal. Everybody that made a difference on the Falcons defense just immediately went up in flames.
Right. So it's like, I mean, and you know this, like the reason the Colts are entering the playoffs as a dangerous team is because they are playing really good offense. And over the course of the season, their defense has evolved into a pretty damn good unit. So they have a well-balanced team. And if your team is not balanced, like the Cardinals, and the reverse of that really was the Broncos. And there's flaws on the Broncos defense, but the defense, the one thing it did a pretty good job at was not giving up a ton of points. They gave up huge plays in the game, but the reason the Broncos always had a chance was because of the defense. The problem was the offense was fucking anemic. So there was a big, it wasn't balanced at all. And that's kind of what the Broncos have to figure out is how to make that work.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, like, going back to the Chargers game, like that's kind of a microcosm of how the season went. Granted, they were without Phillip Lindsay on offense, and we kind of, when we're so close to the situation, we kind of tend to not remember how many guys got hurt this year.
Yeah.
Starting with Jake Butt, who was looking like, maybe the 3rd best receiver on the team at the time that he got hurt. Jeff Hireman, so there's the top 2 tight ends.
Who replaced Jake Butt as looking like the 3rd best receiver on the team.
Yeah, we were down to – they started a game with Brian Parker at tight end, so things could have been better at that position. Obviously, you trade away Demaryius Thomas. He goes and gets injured anyway because that's how this season's going. Emmanuel Sanders, just a ton of guys, and that's really the only case he could have made for Vance Joseph keeping his job, which I don't think was strong enough. But – and then if you want to go to the defensive side, obviously you've got Chris Harris as well. But all that said, like
and that
defense just wasn't, it would have had to do like 2015 kind of things to carry this offense to the postseason.
And you didn't even mention like Matt Paradis, one of the best centers, was playing as the best.
Yeah. The whole offensive line was just obliterated.
Ron Leary hurt, Max Garcia hurt. Like, it was not a fair situation for Vance Joseph to be fired under. But also, I think like if you have a really good head coach, when those things happen, I'm not saying he should have gotten them into the playoffs, but you see them get something from their team that you don't expect. You know what I mean? And losing all those guys is tough. And it's the same thing with your quarterback. And I like marry those two together. Like when all those things happen, your quarterback has to be able to uplift the offense and overcome those things. Or your head coach has to get together a game plan that plays to the players he now has on the roster's strengths and at least win one of 3 winnable games to finish the season. And it wasn't that they just lost to, the Chargers at the end of the year when they kind of gave up, but they lost to the Browns and the 49ers, teams they should have been able to, I think, be more competitive with. And I think that was like the biggest indictment on being able to say, yes, let's go in a different direction than Vance Joseph.
I think the final nail in Vance's coffin, well, maybe not the final nail because there are some after, but like the biggest nail was losing to the 49ers on the road after that 3-game winning streak. That just felt like an inexcusable time and place to lose in like fairly embarrassing fashion, even though they came back. And also I was at the game and why would you lose a game that I paid money to go see?
Oh yeah, we need to update everybody that the curse of games you attend never ends well for the team you're rooting for.
No, I went to the Kings game and they're up like 7 points with like 2 minutes to go. Not even like maybe like 90 seconds to go. Somehow the Trailblazers forced overtime and they lost by like 10 points in overtime. So we're on we're on a losing streak again.
Was that the game that Jurkic went off?
Yeah, Nurkic had like 24 points, 23 rebounds, like 7 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 steals. Which is like one of the best. Of course, just fucking random ass Joseph Nurkic.
Nurkic, yeah. He put together like one of the best stat lines in NBA history, right?
It's kind of weird because you don't even like notice when you're at the game and you're not like constantly looking at the stats. It was like when I was at the game that Khalil Mack had 5 sacks. I didn't even know it until after the fact. I just like saw a bunch of sacks. I didn't even know it was like all him.
Yeah, that you got to be seeing that shit on TV to keep track of it because they're like, that's Khalil Mack's 3rd sack. They don't tell you that stuff in the stadium.
Nope, they sure don't.
Dude, I think being like the in-stadium announcer, I think that's a pretty easy gig. You're just like,
it feels like we should do that.
Philip Lindsay.
First down. Incomplete.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to update because I've been going to a few basketball games this season, and my list of people that like I would not want to run into like in a screen, like I would not want to be screened by Nurkic, might be first, and then Steven Adams on the Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
Those 2 guys I would not want to run into at all. I'm going to put together a master list at some point.
Master list of toughest screeners.
Yeah, toughest screeners. Zion Williamson, not in the NBA yet, but he'll probably be on that list soon. Coming soon. So stay tuned if that's the sort of thing that interests you, which it probably isn't.
Nope. We got football people here. These are all football people, baby.
I could convert it into a list of like basketball players that would make good football players.
There you go.
Yeah.
I tried to make a video about why
an off-season idea.
Yeah, I think I did a video about like why LeBron James should have come to the NFL this last offseason.
Yeah.
I don't think it did too well. Neither did my
like he's a good basketball player. Why would he do that?
Yeah, neither did my building the perfect Game of Thrones quarterback, which was an episode I was really excited about and didn't do that well.
Yeah, no, you'd always think there's a bigger crossover than there really is.
Yeah.
No. Should we talk about the Steelers, Antonio Brown? How
let's get into the
falling apart.
The NFL, because I think we'll know more about the Broncos coaching situation next week. I mean, they probably will have hired somebody by then. Are they going to? There's like two guys they're still going to try to talk to that they haven't set up. They have 5 interviews set up.
It sounded like they wanted to talk to Mike McCarthy, but I don't know if Mike McCarthy wants to talk to them.
Ooh, cold shoulder.
Yeah.
They got the cold shoulder. Okay.
It's always tough when the Browns are like destination number 1 for head coaches.
Insane. We're living in
the shoe is on the other foot officially when that happens.
Yeah, okay. So now we'll talk NFL stuff.
Yeah, so Antonio Brown was benched, I guess, against the Bengals after he pretty much threw a tantrum after Juju Smith-Schuster rightfully won team MVP. It sounds like he wants to be traded. More specifically, he wants to be traded to the 49ers. Had a neat little interaction with George Kittle on Twitter. A lot of stuff going on, but kind of a wild season for Antonio Brown, who, number one, threw some furniture off of a balcony, almost killed like a 4-year-old kid. Yeah, it happens to the best of us. Excessive speeding, 110 miles per hour. Again, who among us hasn't done that? And then quit on, what happened on Sunday, basically quit on the team.
Yeah, so the Steelers, they have so much talent, but so much drama to go along with it. It is, it's perplexing because obviously Antonio Brown's losing his fucking mind. Like his ego has gotten so big, and it's crazy because was he undrafted or was he like
he was like fourth? I think he was like the 4th round out of a small school too.
Right, small school. That's like and he like worked his ass off to become one of the best receivers in the league, and then he got paid, and then it's like we've just been slowly watching his descent into madness. Then you have Ben Roethlisberger, probably the most talented quarterback in the NFL, who lacks the least amount of leadership skills, on par with maybe like Jay Cutler. He's an elite version of Jay Cutler. Mike Tomlin can't control his locker room, or I feel like provide unity with his players. And then you had the whole like Le'Veon Bell drama that occurred this season.
Yeah, like the players are once again plundering his locker for like really expensive cleats and stuff because he still hasn't showed up.
Right, and it's like, and Roethlisberger's basically like blamed everybody else besides himself for any of their problems. He said, I think it was like today or something, said, the Le'Veon Bell stuff really affected our team this season.
Yeah, which is like, it's surprising because if you remember Ben's first season after they won that Seahawks Super Bowl, and they like the whole team played really shitty, but he was like he went out of his way to always blame himself early in his career when the Steelers lost. And it's weird for like a career to progress and to go the other way as opposed to being like more selfless and more of a team guy. Like he's like slowly become like the Kobe Bryant of the Steelers. I realize that's an unfortunate comparison that I just made, but
well, they do share something else in common.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's like if the Patriots had like if it was like Bill Belichick couldn't control his team, Tom Brady was always throwing other guys under the bus, Rob Gronkowski was titillating other teams to trade him, and I guess
it's the opposite. Like he threatens to retire when someone trades him.
Yeah, it's nuts, and I know. I think it's a crazy situation because your quarterback, you can point fingers at him. Your head coach, you can point fingers at him. Your star receiver, you can point fingers at him. Your star running back, you could like. How do you fix that? Like, you got to keep some of those guys. You can't just – and, like, I don't think getting rid of one of them really solves the problem, except maybe Mike Tom. Like, if you brought in a different coach who was able to really, like, shift the culture there. But then you have, like, these young guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, who at, like, age 22 appears to be way more mature than Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
James Conner, like a guy
he might just be better, too. Like, yeah. He doesn't get talked about because he's got Antonio Brown on the opposite side, but he had over 100 catches, 1,400 yards, and I have no idea how many touchdowns. Probably a lot.
Yeah. So Antonio Brown basically requesting to be traded as well, supposedly. If you're the Steelers, like, what do you try to get for Antonio Brown?
Okay, hear me out. Von Miller for Antonio Brown. Who says no?
Blowing my nose. Von Miller for Antonio Brown? Oh, God,
yeah,
no.
Who says no? Who says no?
Like,
besides everybody.
Yeah, like Antonio Brown would run the Broncos right now.
Yeah, no, it would be.
You think Case Keenum can handle Antonio Brown?
He would become the owner of the Broncos.
He would, yeah. Like 6 months in, Joe Ellis would be signing the team over to AB.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's not a situation that we want. What? Yeah, I guess what do the 49ers have that they could offer, like, other than just picks? I don't know. Like, would you give up a first rounder for Antonio Brown at this point? It feels like that's like a true area of need for the 49ers is wide receiver. So maybe.
Yeah. I can see. I mean, John Gruden's got the picks to give up to get him.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Trade such a foolproof plan to trade a really good wide receiver for a first round pick to then use to get another really good wide receiver that's like 5 years older than said wide receiver that you just traded. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know where Brown would go. I don't know where it would make sense necessarily. I obviously didn't think about this before I asked you the question, but
I'm just gonna throw teams. I'm gonna throw some names against the wall. Green Bay Packers.
Oh yeah. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers is starting to look like his ego is getting to be a bit of an issue as well. So I think putting him in the Packers locker room would be interesting.
Well, like, it would be fair. Like, it was just Christmas, so Aaron Rodgers probably in a really bad mood too.
Yeah. Sundays though, with Rodgers and Brown, that would obviously be fun. Mm-hmm. The Patriots probably always at play for some weird shit like that.
Yeah, they could trade Josh Gordon for Antonio Brown straight up.
Straight up.
Yep. And it'd probably be an improvement for the Steelers locker room culture.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Any team who gets Antonio Brown, their offense gets better quickly. For how much longer, who knows? But, like, he's that good of a player. That's why he gets to be as big of a –
Seattle.
Oh, he might work there.
Yeah. That's like a strong locker room still, I think.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Seattle's weird. Like, they look like they were going to be a mess, but they've, like, risen from the flames. Seattle would be interesting.
The Jets. Seems like a terrible idea. They could sign Le'Veon Bell and trade for Antonio Brown in the same offseason.
Hell, send Antonio Brown to the Colts. T.Y. Hilton, Antonio Brown, Andrew Luck.
That's a tough offense. And they still got a ton of cap space too.
Yeah, they got money. That's what's crazy about the Colts. Like, the Colts are setting themselves up. Like, if they play this offseason correctly, like, they can be very good for a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys they could still sign. You could pair Landon Collins with Malik Hooker at safety. I'm sure the Texans are going to get Jadeveon Clowney back, but he's technically still a free agent, I think. Or he will be a free agent.
Barrett's probably going to test the free agent market.
Yeah, it seems like he might finally go to, like, Cleveland.
But, like, the Colts made a play for a guy like Shaq Barrett, who I think is one of the more underrated defensive players for the Broncos. Like, he's a name that wouldn't make a big impact on the national scale, but the Colts would be happy to have a guy like that.
Yeah, you could see him just, like, picking up an easy 10 sacks as a starter. It's just unfortunate that, like, he hasn't really gotten the chance to start, I guess. He probably started at some point last year, but
yeah,
he always just had someone in the way.
Like me.
Yes. Exactly. It is a little frustrating when you have so many potential Pro Bowlers, but like one of your potential Pro Bowlers like can't even get on the field because that's where you have like the the real Pro Bowlers. And then meanwhile on offense, just everybody sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, just can we like convert them to like guard or something?
Shaq Barrett to guard.
Enough Broncos talk. We've gone through this already.
Maybe just switch him, put him at left tackle, then you put Garrett Bowles as one of the defensive ends.
Now you're starting to make sense. I like this. And this is not just a fever dream. And I'm not saying fever dream just because you're sick, but like, no, this is something that I think would actually work, because Garrett Bowles having that sequence where he just had 2 holding penalties in a row was like, I'm glad he did that to wrap up the season, because it was very fitting.
I know. And he cleaned it up for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Then it just came out like he was like, I got to block Joey Bosa. How the fuck am I going to do that? I'll just tackle him.
Time to go back to the old me.
Joey Bosa brings out the worst in Garrett Bowles.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to pick these games? Some good, interesting games, I think.
We've got good playoff football about to smack us in the face this weekend. Will and I are working really hard at getting some prediction episodes up. So tomorrow we'll have Colts versus Texans, Seahawks versus Cowboys. Those are the Saturday games. So chronologically, let's start there.
Yeah. Okay. So Colts versus Texans. Are you sad that this will probably be the last game with Joe Tessitore, Jason Witten, and Booger McFarland?
The dream team Monday Night Football crew. No. I don't think anybody's sad. I think they were hard to listen to. And at first I liked Booger McFarland, and then he just like –
he got a little annoying over time.
Kind of like Seth MacFarlane. After a while, you're just like, okay, enough.
Exactly.
It must be the name, McFarlane. Mm-hmm. And then hearing like Pat McAfee call the Lions game, like his first try, his first attempt at doing it was just, he was just like better than Jason Witten. You know what I mean? Just like, oh God, please. And I think the difference between a guy like McAfee and Jason Witten is like Witten's trying to be what he thinks Monday Night Football wants him to be, and he's not that personality type.
Yeah.
McAfee,
he's more suited for like Fox's C team.
Yeah, like I think if you gave him some time and just let him focus on the football stuff, like, and not tried to be a personality, like I think he was trying to be a personality, and that's not
who he is. Yeah. It was a strange pick to begin with. Like, he didn't feel like a very charismatic guy when he was playing.
No
offense, just like not one of his strong suits. It felt like they were trying too hard to capitalize on that Tony Romo craze from last year.
And so it's like, I think there's got to be a natural thing there, and you have to do, because you're talking for 3 hours. Like,
yeah, it's tough.
There's got to be something there that is natural. And
and there's the weird dynamic where Booger McFarland's like a part of the team, but he's also not in the booth, and he's on this weird like floating contraption that blocks everybody's view of the game and pisses people off.
That's ridiculous. Like, you don't need to do that. That's not like helping him get better insight. No. Because if you just sit in the fucking booth, you've got every camera angle like you can see. You're going to get just as good of a take on the game from that point of view. So that didn't make sense. But their experiment failed because they don't consult with people like us.
No. So what we're saying is we want Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
On Monday Night Football next season.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm fine with it. We'll talk about the actual game here.
Oh yeah, we really went off on a tangent there.
Yeah.
And that's why we think the Colts are going to win.
What teams were we talking about again? Yeah. So this is obviously the third time that they're playing. They split the regular season series 1-1. The Texans went on a 9-game winning streak in the middle of the year after they started 0-3. The streak started with the Colts, that overtime game where they like traded field goals, and then Frank Reich went for it on 4th down in his own territory with like 26 seconds left. Basically wasn't playing for a tie, which I liked. That was the first game of the Texans winning streak. And then they ended the Texans winning streak in Houston 10 weeks
Sounds
later.
to me like the Colts control the Texans.
They might.
And
I'm
usually a Texan controls a Colt.
Been playing too much Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, yes, I have.
They have no answer in the regular season for T.Y. Hilton, who we just talked about, who seems like he's perennially one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but still just doesn't really get talked about. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just that every wide receiver just hasn't been, just won't shut up this year, except for him. And DeAndre Hopkins, ironically, who's on the other side.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is you got two really good wide receivers. There's not like a lot of other big name players on the offense for either team, really. It's just, two really good quarterbacks. I obviously think Luck's a notch above where Deshaun Watson is right now.
Yeah.
But then you got just a slew of role players like Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines. Obviously, Eric Ebron's been scoring a lot of touchdowns this year, finally, once you ripped him away from Matthew Stafford. I mostly just wanted to mention Mo Alley-Cox because whenever you can get Mo Alley-Cox, you just, you have to talk about it. That's about it.
Never overpay for Mo Alley-Cox.
No. But also don't underpay for Mo Alley-Cox. That might even be worse.
Well, what's the price for Alley-Cox?
Yeah, what's fair market price? Maybe we'll find out when he's a free agent. But I'm looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to all of them, but I really like watching the Colts. I like the way their offense works. An aesthetically pleasing game to me.
Yeah, honestly, this game, they should have flopped this game with the Chargers-Ravens game.
Probably.
I think the Colts should be on Sunday instead of Saturday in terms of what I think is going to be. I don't know. I just think the Colts and the Texans are better teams than the Chargers. And
I kind of like this game starting the week off, though, because usually it is the Texans playing.
This is the third season in a row they play this first Saturday game.
Right. Like the Brock Osweiler year where they beat the Raiders, which was a terrible game. You had the Brian Hoyer game where they lost to the Chiefs. The famous TJ Yates game against the Bengals. Another game against the Bengals. They really own this slot, so I'm not surprised to see them again here. It feels like I sleep through one of the Sunday wild card games every year because I just get too excited for the Saturday games, and then I just run out of steam by Sunday afternoon. But I'm glad Eagles-Bears is the last game because that's a really good game. If it was Seahawks at Cowboys, probably a 90-minute nap somewhere in the middle of it, unfortunately. But it's Saturday night, so I'll be watching the whole thing.
Yeah, who do you think's going to win this Texans-Colts matchup?
I've been going back and forth. I've been talking up the Colts all season, but I'm actually going to take the Texans in a very close game.
Ooh, interesting. I'm going to take the Colts. I think the Colts were the team that everybody should have been talking about instead of the Chargers when all of a sudden, you remember there was 2 weeks there, everybody was the Chargers are the best team in the AFC.
Yeah. Because
the Chiefs lost a game or two and they're just the Chargers beat the
before the season.
the Chargers beat the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I was high on them before the season just because our defense was so good last year. The defense kind of took a step back, but with Joey Bosa getting healthy, they may.
Yeah, and possibly Hunter Henry too.
Oh yeah.
Feels like he tore his ACL 5 years ago.
A couple weeks early.
Yeah. Like we said.
But the Colts, Andrew Luck can beat you in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
Their running game has been pretty good. Marlon Mack's very good at times, but even getting Nyheim Hines involved in using him as a passing back. They've got a receiver. They've got a tight end. They've got two running backs who are capable. They've got a really good quarterback. Their offensive line's pretty good, which is going to be tested against the Texans. But again, and the Texans have a good defense as well. I think that the Colts offense is more complete than the Texans offense. And right now, I don't know how much better the Texans defense is than Indianapolis. And Adam Vinatieri in the playoffs. Really, I am just hoping the Colts get a chance to beat the Patriots with an Adam Vinatieri field goal. That's all I'm rooting for.
Yeah, one of the like grayest beards I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, Adam Vinatieri grew a beard, and it's just like white.
Yeah.
Also,
like
Frank
snowfall.
Reich has a beard now, and it's pretty gray as well. Like,
yeah, a lot of gray beards on that team. I feel like Andrew Luck could go gray at any minute.
Yeah, I put a picture of me, Luck, Reich, and Vinatieri together as like a bearded unified front. Because I'm jumping on the Colts bandwagon for the postseason, so that's another reason.
Again, like another point, kind of to the Colts' credit is they match up really well because Quentin Nelson's so good, and the rest of that offensive line's been so good this year. And also, a lot of it has to do with Andrew Luck's really mobile and knows when to get rid of the ball.
Least sacked quarterback, right? Luck was
you've got the least sacked versus the most sacked quarterback in this game, and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
But I think, the Colts front plus Luck kind of negates maybe the Texans' best strength as a team, which is getting after the passer with Watt, Merciless, and Clowney.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It is a really good game. It's a good playoff game. Yeah. That's all you can ask for at this point.
I agree.
That's us being very nice.
Here's a game we should be less nice to. Seahawks versus Cowboys. I think this will actually be the worst game of the weekend.
It might be.
I'm not excited to watch the Cowboys at all, to be honest. I don't know if I'm super excited to watch the Seahawks either. I'm going to take the Seahawks in this game. Just going to say that up front. But this is obviously a rematch of a game that happened on a Saturday night now 12 years ago, where the ball went through Tony Romo's hands on that field goal attempt.
Oh, yeah.
That lost them the game ultimately.
Was that the Seahawks' first playoff run when they just started to be good?
No, this is the year after they went to the Super Bowl and lost.
Oh, it was the year after. It was the year after that.
Yeah, after the Steelers beat them in the Super Bowl.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was a very long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like the Seahawks, regardless, they're like a team that if they get into the playoffs, they're going to win at least one game every year. Like you saw it a couple years ago when they beat the Lions and then kind of got smoked by the Falcons. It just feels like their experience, like Russell Wilson's experience, is worth one playoff win every year.
Yeah, I think that's fair because, if you want to just boil this down to quarterbacks, I'm going to bet on Russell Wilson over Dak Prescott every time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair to Prescott, he's gotten better through this season. He looked pretty shitty to start the season. And
the Amari Cooper trade actually, really, really paid off for them.
Yeah, as a trade we also made fun of, and
yes,
that's been good. But then, Amari Cooper, he's like a hot and cold receiver because over the last 3 weeks, he's basically done nothing. And I started to look I had in my head, I was like, that's just the way he plays the game. And I'm like, are you just making that up? So then I started looking through his stats, and it is. It's he'll go off for 180 yards, and then he has 3 weeks where his receiving totals are 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, and then he'll bust out another 150-yard game, and then he does nothing. Famously, against the Broncos in 2015, I think he had a 150-plus yard game a week or two before playing the Broncos, and then he had a 0-catch, 0-yard performance. He was targeted 8 times in that game, and that's just kind of the player he is. The good news is this might be that game for him where he has 150-plus yards because the Seahawks secondary is not very good. Shaquille Griffin's also dealing with an injury this week. He's, one of their starting young corners who's struggling to, losing Richard Sherman really hurt that secondary.
Imagine being Shaquille Griffin and complaining about an injury to your brother.
Yeah, you can't.
You're I can't play today. I've got a broken hand.
Yeah. It's like, oh, your ankle's bothering you, Shaquille? Okay, try playing with one fucking hand, asshole.
Yeah.
Like if I would always rub, like I don't have a brother, but if I were the brother with one, I would rub it in his face all the time because I'm better than him and disabled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would rub it in his face with where the hand would be.
Oh,
yeah. That wasn't like a
weird.
Wasn't even supposed to be weird. Anyway, I'm taking the Seahawks.
But then, the funny thing about this game is it's like maybe the three best linebackers in the NFL are all playing in this game: Bobby Wagner, Leighton Vander Esch, and Jalen Smith for the Cowboys.
Well, do we know that Leighton Vander Esch is playing?
Is he injured?
He got hurt during that game against the
Giants. The final game?
Oh. Yeah, the game where Jason Garrett was keeping everybody in.
Interesting.
But I'm not sure if it's bad enough to keep him out. So,
yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to look into that. But like,
how do the Cowboys beat the Seahawks in this game though? Like, what's their formula?
Those two linebackers, because the Seahawks finished the season as the number one rushing team in the NFL. I think a lot of their success is, because they have run the ball so well. Chris Carson, 300-yard games to finish the season. And I think Mike Davis behind him has an ankle injury. Doug Baldwin's had some kind of injury for a while. Like, I think if you shut down the Seahawks run game, and don't get me wrong, Russell Wilson can beat you through the air, but like, I think that's how you have to make Seattle play, because I think they just kind of wear teams down, similar to the way the Ravens do it. So the difference is like Bobby Wagner doesn't have like Jalen Smith to play next to him. You know what I mean? He's like the only guy there. And he only missed one tackle this season, Bobby Wagner. One tackle. Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, I think both missed like 12 and 13 tackles. So that's fucking crazy to me. But yeah, shut down the run. That's how you beat the Seahawks, but I think the Seahawks are going to win.
Yeah, I think barring like another 3 Blake Jarwin touchdowns.
Yeah, they're tight end that came out of nowhere.
I think it'll be like a 10-point Seahawks win.
Okay.
And then another like, should we fire Jason Garrett? And then they don't fire him. And then the process repeats.
Yeah. How many Cowboys fans do you actually know?
Cowboys fan lives behind me.
Okay.
I know probably like 4 or 5 personally.
Okay. Because I really don't know any anymore. And I mean, they're still like the most popular team.
Fans. Yeah. They're pretty populous, not because like these people are from Texas. It's just the Cowboys were probably good. They're kind of like the Steelers, where they're good in the 70s, and like a lot of people grew up in the 70s, so they're either like Steelers or Cowboys fans. They're front runners. Or
there's a lot of people who grew up in the 70s.
There are also a lot of people who grew up in the 90s, and the Cowboys were good then too. Or they're just like they're dumb and they're attracted to shiny things. Like the Cowboys.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Like literally, I'm not like saying like metaphorically shiny. Like it's a very shiny jersey and the star and everything, and the big stadium. So.
That Jerry World, man. Then Sunday we got Chargers Ravens.
Yes, I don't plan on sleeping through this game, although one of these offenses might put me to sleep.
Yeah. So for the AFC, the Chiefs have the 1 seed. The Patriots have the 2 seed. So the Chiefs will get the team with the worst record. So if the Colts win, the Chiefs play the Colts.
Yeah, which I kind of like for the Colts. I feel like they just have that psychological edge going back to the 2013 Wild Card game.
I feel like my point was no matter how it works out, the Patriots are going to get to play the shittiest teams all the way through the playoffs.
Which is the case every year.
It's somehow that always like them not being the 1 seed is actually going to be better for them, because I feel like I really want the Colts to play the Patriots in that first game, but it can't happen.
Yeah, watch them get like the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
The Patriots versus Cowboys. Yeah, no shit.
Damn it. Let's not even joke about that. It could be bad.
Okay,
it could actually happen.
Chargers, Ravens.
Obviously this game happened like 3 weeks ago, and the Ravens won.
Right.
In LA. I don't know if, obviously going home benefits the Ravens. This kind of being a cold weather game, most likely probably also benefits the Ravens just because the Chargers like to play more of an up-tempo offense and throw the ball. But like getting your second game against Lamar Jackson, do you think that helps?
Maybe a little bit. I think I'm trying to think of how you. It's really hard to get behind a team who can't effectively throw the football in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the Ravens defense is so good and their run game actually works. So they're not going to the Ravens aren't going to surprise me if they make it to the AFC Championship game or even if they make it to the fucking Super Bowl.
I think the Super Bowl would surprise me.
But I can't get behind Lamar Jackson's style of play as a long-term solution. I feel like we kind of watched that with Tebow.
Yeah. But then again, they, it's worth one playoff win, especially at home.
And it's, the time of possession for them, the way they control the ball.
Yeah.
And that too helps. That defense is crazy good. And if that defense is always fresh, if your best players on defense are always fresh, that's going to be a problem. And the Chargers' biggest weakness right now is proving to be their shitty offensive line. Rivers is able to compensate for that quite a bit, but that was a big problem for them in the first matchup with the Ravens. And after a while, pressure will get to Phillip Rivers. And in big games with pressure, and if Phillip Rivers got to dig him out of a deficit, he's prone to making mistakes. So
yeah, which is exactly what he did in the first game.
I feel like the Chargers are kind of trending in the wrong direction. The last couple of weeks after beating the Chiefs, it was they never looked very good again after that game. So I think the Ravens are actually going to win this game. Being on the road, I don't think really matters to the Chargers. But I don't know. I think there's just too many playmakers on that defense in the secondary, and I think that Ravens front seven is going to be a real matchup problem for the Chargers offensive line. And I don't know how healthy Melvin Gordon actually is for the Chargers.
Yeah, we really don't know. It didn't feel like he should have been playing against the Broncos, but they sure played him nonetheless, and I think he got hurt at the end of the game.
Yeah, was it Josie Jewell fell on his ankle or some shit?
It's it seems like a poor coaching decision. Nonetheless, I think that for the Ravens to win this game, they need to do the three things that they did successfully on that Christmas Eve or whatever game, the last game they played. And those three things are they need to run the ball effectively, which I don't think is going to be a problem for them. Just the combination of Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, and Kenneth Dixon, I think, is going to be fine.
The old Jackson-Dixon-Edwards combo,
Yeah, it sounds like a 70s band.
It does.
They need one big passing play at least, which they got in that Saturday game with that Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews throw. They need another one of those, and then they need just a late turnover, I think. And that's pretty much their formula. It's kind of been their formula all year. Lamar Jackson obviously hasn't been a consistent passer, but he's kind of like Tim Tebow, where he'll just pull one out of his ass.
Yeah.
And that just somehow it tends to be enough. But obviously you need the defense to play well for that to work. I do like the Ravens at home.
Yeah, I think the momentum's in their favor. And Lamar Jackson, I think the difference between him and Tebow is I think Jackson can actually throw the ball. I think his problem right now is he does not understand NFL defenses.
Yeah.
He has to him, Josh Allen, and Mitch Trubisky are similar to me. And Trubisky's actually, I think, started to develop somewhat nicely. But you have to, as an offensive coordinator, slow the game down for them, help them with, having one or two read type situations, And I think he can get there, but I think like Tebow, like mechanically, physically had issues throwing footballs accurately.
Yeah, I mean, he just like looked like someone that was like right-handed trying to throw the ball with his left hand.
Right. I think Jackson can be a good passer. I think it's just going to take some time, and it looks like they might have that luxury with the Ravens.
Yeah.
Now, there was all these rumors with like John Harbaugh being out in Baltimore, and now they're saying they would take 2 first-round draft picks for him. That's got to all be bullshit, right? Like, he's just coached this team into the playoffs, and if they get a win or maybe 2 wins, like, how do you get rid of Harbaugh after something like that?
It is bullshit, but let me propose this trade to you. Take the first rounders off the board. Von Miller for John Harbaugh straight up. Who says no?
Oh shit. We got Harbaugh, and we gave away our best defensive player. Sick.
He's a defensive coach. He'll make up for it. No, but Lamar Jackson, like, kind of going off your point there. Tebow felt like he was just like not capable of becoming a good passer.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, like, he doesn't look unnatural when he throws the ball, but I think he's got like serious footwork problems. But they feel like they're correctable to the point where, like, I don't think he's ever going to become Peyton Manning. But it feels like he can become like just an average passer and a great runner, which
can work for a while.
Probably good enough, until you lose the ability to run.
Yeah, which we all
get
do.
Hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
One time or another, yeah. But yeah, another interesting game. I feel like this could be a game where the Chargers kind of get blindsided and the Ravens just shorten it so quickly. Like, it's one of those games where, like, you turn your head and, like, oh, the first quarter's already over. And
Right.
like, the Chargers haven't even scored yet. Like, they've barely gotten the ball.
The Ravens took 9 minutes off the clock and kicked a field goal.
It just feels like the Chargers are probably the more talented team, but the Ravens are going to make them so uncomfortable that I think the Ravens have the clear advantage.
Yeah, it's weird because I would argue for the Colts in that I think they're balanced. Good defense, good offense, good special teams. And you could say that about the Chargers too, but I feel like the Ravens just have such a good defense and have figured out a formula on offense that they could win this game.
And speaking of special teams, it also feels like the Chargers at some point, regardless of whether it's on Sunday or they make it to the next round, they're going to miss a big kick at some point
they
in the playoffs.
They have shaky kicker problems. Colts, Texans, Ravens, all great kickers.
Yeah. So let's break down. Okay. I'm going to just list the kickers for you really quickly. Tell me, I know you're most confident in Vinatieri, but who are you least confident in? Colts, Vinatieri. Who are you least confident in? All right, so the Texans, you got Kaimi Fairbairn, who's been very good. Seahawks, Sebastian Janikowski. Cowboys, real time with Bill Maher.
Oh, yeah, that guy's been pretty good.
Yeah, Chargers, Michael Badgley. Justin Tucker. Maybe you're more confident in Justin Tucker than Vinatieri.
Oh, yeah.
Eagles, Jake Elliott. And then Bears, Cody Parkey.
Oh, man. Cody Parkey.
So basically what I'm asking you, who are you least confident in between Janikowski?
It's Janikowski, I think.
Is it? Over Michael Badgley and Cody Parkey and real time with Bill Maher?
Definitely. I'm most confident of Bill Maher in all of those.
Okay.
Elliott, he's made big kicks. He made them
in the Super Bowl.
Parkey, like, he believes in Jesus so much. Like, I can't bet against that guy. Like,
canceled out. But, like, who does Jesus love more, Cody Parkey or Nick Foles? So you got to take that into account as well.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
To me, Janikowski, I just feel like
he's got the Polish God on his side.
Yeah.
It was a very vengeful God.
Yeah, and sometimes drunk. I mean, Vinatieri, I'm not confident, like, in long kicks. Like, you've got to get him close.
Yeah.
Janikowski.
Vinatieri, like, when he kicks now, like, he's, like, so hunched over on the approach. It feels like he's just going to line up in a 3-point stance one of these kick.
But, like, I trust, like, the Colts, like, in the 40-yard range. Like, he's going to make all of them this postseason. I think Janikowski is just – I don't trust him.
Janikowski, it just feels like he's a soccer-style kicker. It still feels like he just toe pokes every ball.
Yeah,
and just like it's 50-50 whether it's going to go in or not.
And he looks 20 years older than Vinatieri, even with that gray beard.
Yeah. Adam Vinatieri's rookie season was my rookie season on Earth.
1 year old? 1 year old Will?
Yeah, 1996. He came into the NFL.
Dang.
Which is pretty crazy. Yeah.
Right.
To think he was kicking in that Packers-Patriots game, or that Packers-Patriots Super Bowl. That's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
But yeah, we've got this last game to talk about.
Eagles, Bears.
So this is another good game.
Darren Sproles versus the future Darren Sproles.
Yes, Tariq Cohen. We've also got Big Dick Nick versus
bruised ribs, gonna be okay.
Yeah, versus titty kissing Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, both guys like to score.
Yes. Well, I think Foles likes to score with God. I don't know what that means. I was going back and forth on this game as well. I think, it's kind of nice to see the Bears back in the playoffs, by the way.
It is.
It's been the last playoff game was the game that Jay Cutler got hurt in 2010.
Yeah.
Which feels like a lifetime ago.
No, the Bears are a very likable team right now. They're like the way the Eagles kind of were last year.
It feels like I think the good fortune for the Eagles is going to run out. They probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs to start with. I think it's like just kind of nice that they got there, and the Bears are going to win a close game.
Yeah, well, I think what you're going to find out in this game is like how good is Nick Foles, because he's obviously come in and played great football. He was great last year in the Super Bowl, lit up the Patriots defense.
Right. After this Bears two games at home too. This is his first road playoff game.
This Bears defense it's like the Ravens, in the AFC, where it's extremely talented. They have 1 million interceptions this year.
And they're getting Eddie Jackson back again.
They can get after the quarterback. It's just like they're a good defense and they're a playmaking defense. Sometimes like you have a defense that makes a lot of plays, but they give up a lot of yards. Or
2010 Packers.
Yeah, or even like the 98 Broncos. When the Broncos won their first couple Super Bowls, like the defense would give up plays, but like they would get you the ball back. They would get that offense the ball back, and that offense was insane. So I think just watching Nick Foles play against that Bears defense will help me decide whether or not the Broncos should try and get Nick Foles if for some reason the Eagles let him go.
So here's a question. Like, who would you rather have, like, salary implications being considered? Also, like, what it would take to get him either in a trade or like a signed situation, Nick Foles or Carson Wentz?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
It still feels like Nick Foles is going to be the one that's available.
Yeah. It's hard because like Nick Foles started the season and he didn't look good.
Yeah. At the same time, like in hindsight, he really only played 2 games?
Something.
2 or 3? 2 games. One of them was bad against the Buccaneers. The other one he won, even though he didn't really play that well. It's tough. It's tough. What do you think it would take for the Eagles to keep Foles and trade Wentz? Is it only a Super Bowl win? Even if he gets back to the Super Bowl and plays well and they lose?
Probably. I mean, because Foles is, after this season, he's a free agent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Wentz played awesome this year, but he was also, I just don't think he was ever really, truly healthy. So, I don't know. I think Carson Wentz has the most upside and he's younger. So that's why if you're the Eagles, you stick with Carson Wentz. But I mean, what Nick Foles did in the
Super Bowl, like a 2-time Super Bowl, winner / MVP though.
Yeah, exactly. If Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl again this year, you keep him. I would say that. Like, if you have a guy who's won you 2 Super Bowls, I think you keep him.
Yeah, by the way, it seems like Philadelphia fans argue for Wentz more than the average NFL fan does.
Probably. I don't know. It's hard.
From the outside.
That's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah,
There's no other team that has that problem.
Yeah, but it becomes a bad problem if you make the wrong choice.
Yeah. So, I mean,
which they'll have to eventually.
The reason the Eagles are in the playoffs, though, is because their defense started to play the way that it did last season. Mm-hmm. And they're a team that had a ton of injuries this season. And, they are causing problems at the line of scrimmage. Fletcher Cox has been great.
The long Cox combination is pretty lethal on the D line.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever seen that picture? It's really funny when those two guys stand
next to each other. No, I've never seen anybody post that. But who do you think? Who's going to have a harder time, Foles or Trubisky?
See, I mean, I could go either way just because I think the Bears have a better defense, but Foles seems like he's just not fazed by anything. And this is Trubisky's first.
That's why he's good, right?
Yeah, it just feels
that's
like
why Tom Brady's better.
Good. Yeah,
they play the same no matter what's happening in the game.
Yeah, it feels just like Foles is just so good at tuning out the situation. You know?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the game's never out of his capabilities of thinking he can make plays and
right. That Rams Sunday night game where maybe it was Collinsworth talking about how Nick Foles' dad always taught him to just ignore the scoreboard in close games and then literally just take it one play at a time. And it feels like a cliche when most people talk about it. It feels like it actually means something for Foles because he does it consistently. It feels like it actually is something that he focuses on and gets something out of, which, is easier said than done for most quarterbacks. But I don't know. I think there's something to it.
Yeah. It'll look, if Nick Foles lights it up against that Bears defense, the Eagles jump to being the most dangerous team in the NFC.
Yeah.
Because I think the Bears have the best defense in the NFC. I think the Bears are going to win this game because I think you're right. The Eagles kind of snuck into the playoffs and the Bears, they didn't need to beat the Vikings last week and they fucking handled the Vikings. Mm-hmm. The Bears are a really good team. But if Nick Foles wins, that's a fun train to ride to the playoffs, I think.
It's another reason why I'm just so excited for the playoffs to start and especially for this slate of games. So once we get into round 2, there's a lot of unlikable teams, especially for us. Yeah. But there's a lot of cool narratives and storylines and fun teams to hitch your wagon to.
Yeah,
that doesn't feel was the case a couple years ago.
You could get a Eagles Patriots Super Bowl rematch, which in one hand is really lame, but the other thing is can Nick Foles fuck him up again? You could get a
all LA game.
Oh yeah, you could have Chargers Rams. That's insane. Neither team has a home stadium. You can get a Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees Super Bowl.
Yes.
Also interesting, good storyline. The only way
Patriots,
Yeah, that's a good game. The only one
Super Bowl scenario involving the Chiefs is a fun one for me though.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing about the Cowboys. So, which means we're probably going to get a Cowboys-Chiefs Super Bowl.
God damn it! I really hope not. It feels like there's so many fun possibilities, and then it's gonna be Patriots Cowboys.
Yeah, or Texans.
No, Patriots Seahawks again might be worse. I think.
Ooh, Texans Seahawks would be pretty bad too.
It might be interesting to see the Texans there for once.
I don't know.
Maybe, probably not.
not for America.
No.
And we're all about improving America, Will and I.
That's what this podcast is really about.
So are we both picking the Bears to win?
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you have
Which
the
it feels like we're
total
arguing
for our picks?
No, I'm gonna tally that up. No, I'm not stalling because I haven't done it yet. We're gonna wait until the Super Bowl.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we're both.
Feels like we're arguing for the Eagles there at the end, but I guess
I think we both think the Bears are gonna win, but we'll be
a close game.
Pleasantly, we'll be happy if Nick Foles does it.
Yeah, and not surprised.
Yeah, that's all we're saying.
Yeah.
All right, well, we did it. Another podcast, hour and a half, I think. Fuck.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're making up for last week where we gave you precisely 0 hours and a half.
We gave you extra content that you didn't ask for. So
yep, nor did you want.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. That's Good Sports Podcast. We love you.
Everybody tweet at Brandon, telling him to get better.
Yeah, tell me to feel better. I'm an attention sick boy.
Mm-hmm. Please tweet him like links to medicine, and by medicine I mean like dick pills.
No, just tweet me links to like really disgusting diseases that I don't want to see images.
Yeah, diseases that you can only get from Allie Cox.
Okay, now we're on to something.